I have been obsessed with the concept of the merge. I think it's one of the most fascinating things that has ever come from Ninjago, and I think it's such an interesting mystery that has always been on my mind since Dragon's Rising began. And I think it goes without saying that I am not alone in this, and I think a lot of people are very much curious on what truly caused the merge. A lot of people have had a lot of different theories, a lot of people have had a lot of different ideas, and I've actually quite enjoyed them and I've believed them for a long time, but I have become more and more unhappy with the answers that we currently have within the community, so I decided to take a look at things. And I think we now have enough information to understand what truly did actually cause the merge, and more specifically, what also is Raz's end goal. I think the details are all out there, whether it's through the show itself, or whether it's through stuff just by the writers, but I think we officially have enough, and I actually think I know what caused the merge. But like I said though, this is just a theory. You can always disagree with me, and if you do, let me know. But I truly like the idea I have come to. I think I have fit every single detail that we know about the merge into one concise theory. So, let's take a seat and let's figure out what truly caused Ninjago's biggest event. Now, what do we know so far? We know, of course, that the merge happened a lot sooner than we actually realized, and the other thing is that Wu is blaming himself for the merge, and Raz is accusing him of causing the merge. But what if they are both wrong? Remember, we don't actually have a concrete scene or concrete evidence to actually prove that Wu did actually cause the merge. It is Wu's belief that he caused the merge. We know that Wu was researching the merge and he was looking into ways to potentially prevent the merge, but we also know that it's very clear that he didn't outright definitively cause the merge. So let's run on the assumption that he is simply blaming himself like he has before. Remember, Wu is no stranger to blaming himself on something that has happened in Ninjago, when in reality, it may not actually have been him. Like I said, he has done this multiple times. Moro, the Time Twins, Asphira, he believes that he is always the root cause of something that happens that's bad in Ninjago. But maybe he doesn't believe it's just simply his fault and that it's just him to blame on. Maybe he believes that there's another reason. So there are two other reasons that Wu may be blaming himself on the merge. The second one could be that he has seen the event of Ninjago, he has seen the constant shift in the balance and the chaos of Ninjago, and he believes that was the catalyst for the merge itself. But keep a pin in that one. Or maybe the final thing is that he just simply believes that him and the ninja team are the protectors of the land. We know for a fact that he does reference this. I mean, he says in season 10 that they are the protectors of Spinjitzu, and more specifically, the protectors of the balance. But balance is a very interesting thing here, because as we know, the balance of creation and destruction, the light and the dark, is always the fundamental concept that gets boiled down when it comes to Ninjago. The balance means everything when it comes to Ninjago. What if it was the balance? Now, you may think this is me just boiling it down to the concept we have always seen in Ninjago, but the thing is that it fits too perfectly in the idea that creation and destruction is the true cause of the merge in of itself. Let me explain. The merge that we have all seen is by definition unstable. It has caused so many different issues, it has caused so many different consequences. People are displaced, merged realms are getting weird, there are so many different consequences to the merge, so it's clearly unstable. So you may be wondering where that instability actually came from. Well, we know for a fact that the realms were also in an unstable nature before the merge actually began. We know that the balance of creation and destruction was constantly shifting in every single realm. I mean, Ninjago is no better of an example of that. I mean, again, you can tie this back to Wu. Wu believed that he didn't have enough time, so he ultimately believed that that whole instability was actually caused by him. I mean, no better example than the fact that he actually didn't even realize that the Overlord was going to return as soon as he did. I mean, he believed that the Overlord wasn't going to return for centuries, and it wasn't going to be a problem for him and the ninja. He believed that it wasn't going to happen. Sound familiar? So if creation and destruction is truly shifting as much as it is showing to be, what if that instability is translating to something bigger? And like how the rise in darkness leads to the Overlord, what if the rise in instability leads to the merge? Actions will always lead to consequences no matter what you believe in. The fact is that the consequence of instability is very clearly the merge. And you may be thinking, well, it's just Ninjago. How would Ninjago cause the other 16 realms to merge alongside with it? Well, we know for a fact that the other realms have also been told to be unstable. I'll only give you examples of what we've been told definitively, but in my opinion it leads to the idea that every merge had its instability issue. Of course, I have mentioned Ninjago because Ninjago is simply Ninjago. In Season 3 Part 1, Morrow tells us definitively that the Cursed Realm and the Departed Realm were both a mess and unstable before the event of the merge, so it's confirmed that at least those two realms are also in an unstable nature. And I think Imperium was also very clearly unstable because it did do one thing that in my opinion was also helping that instability, which was capturing a Source Dragon. We know for a fact that Imperium captured a Source Dragon before the event of the merge. So what if capturing one of the very essences of creation itself really did push things into darkness or the destruction side of things? All a Source Dragon being captured could do is add to the instability nature that I've been talking about when it comes to the merge. So in my opinion, it shows that if we know for a fact the Source Dragons were being captured beforehand, it would lead to a disastrous consequence. And again, tie that detail right back to Wu. He did not realize that the merge was going to come that fast on, because it very clearly seems to be that no one was anticipating a Source Dragon to be able to be captured. So I think that action alone would really push things up the timeline a bit further. So I have no doubt in my mind that instability of the balance is the true cause of the merge. If you need anything more to reinforce the idea that it's actually the balance of things and not truly coming down to an individual person, we know for a fact that in Season 1, merge quakes were occurring across the merged lands. And what is the answer to solving those merge quakes? Elemental power. If elemental power is the one and only way to solve merge quakes, why is that the case? Well, I actually think it comes down to the fact that, like I said, with the shifting of the balance and the instability, it's very clear that it was tilted one way, which is darkness or destruction. So if you are feeding directly into the merge, creation energy, light energy, elemental power, wouldn't that solve an instability in the balance, hence getting rid of merge quakes? In my opinion, I think there's no other way to explain why elemental power has such a stopping effect when it comes to the merge. It's very clear that elemental power is reliant on the idea of stabilizing the merge. So if you're feeding creation energy into the merge, it would make sense that there was a whole lot of destruction in there beforehand. And then even extended into that, when Lloyd harnesses the Dragon Cores, truly has a lot of elemental power within him, the Source Dragon energy, the powers of creation, he completely stops any sort of instability within the merge. Again, it fits a bit too well. It is just constantly coming back to this core idea that instability, the overwhelming shift in the balance, the constant flow that we have been seeing over Ninjago and every other realm is clearly showing that there is some sort of aspect of instability within the balance. And if you restore the balance by providing one side of the creation or destruction aspect, in this case creation, it stabilizes it. But how does this lead into Raz? We know that Raz's ultimate plan is to reverse the merge and get all the realms separate once more. He believes that that is the way to save the land. He clearly sees himself as a savior by all accounts, and he believes that what he is doing is the right thing. But his plan has just been very weird at best. It feels like he's kind of almost making it up as he goes along. But we know for a fact one thing in particular that he wanted when it comes to his plan: Source Dragon icons. In the episode Truth and Lies in Season 2 Part 2, we get to have a conversation between Raz and Jordana, or actually Rox. And Raz has no reason to really lie in this moment because he believes it's Jordana who is a loyal follower to him. So he has no reason to really lie in this instance, and his plan makes a bit too much sense. His plan is to collect all of the elemental powers from the Source tournament to be able to create dragon icons, and his use of dragon icons goes into his ultimate plan, which is to reverse the merge. And we've never really known how the two link together, but I officially think we know now how. It has been confirmed that Source Dragons in particular have the ability to take away the elemental power of a user. It has been confirmed via a tweet. We've been told to hold on to the thought of it for future reference. So it is clear that Source Dragons have the ability to take away elemental power. And I think that is what Raz wants. It is clear that not every single elemental power was actually at the Source tournament. I mean, the Forbidden Five weren't there, and they have elemental power. So what if Ra's intention was to use the elemental powers he had to create Source Dragon icons, to call in the Source Dragons, to recall the rest of the elemental abilities that wasn't directly in front of Ra's? Then with all of that elemental power, or more specifically every single elemental power that is within the land of Ninjago, he is able to achieve the one thing that Wu was actually going to do, which was unity. Now bear with me on this. We know that one of Wu's last canonical conversations with any of the ninja was with Nia, where he states that unity is the answer to the merge, and a lot of people have interpreted it in different ways. People thought it was you had to keep the ninja united, you had to keep the realms united. I think it was to keep the elemental powers united. And with every single elemental power within Raz's hands, he would truly be able to reverse the merge. Because he has every single element at his disposal, that level of power, in my opinion, very clearly translates to an ability that we have never seen before. And that would be to separate every single realm back into their own individual ones. And that is his ultimate goal. Use these Source Dragons to recall every single element, and use those elements to be able to reverse the merge, and then I guess do the next part of his plan. I mean, we don't really know what his goal is outside of reversing the merge, so whatever really Raz wants to do afterwards, that's kind of up to him. Maybe he's gonna pull a Thanos and just go into a garden and just live off the rest of his days. Who knows? But all we know for a fact is that he's attempting to reverse the merge. And again, like every other detail in this video, I can link this back to Wu. We know for a fact that Wu said that if he had enough time, he would have been able to prevent the merge from happening. And what if it's the exact same thing that Raz is going to be doing, which is attempt to unite every single element to be able to prevent it from occurring? I reckon that Wu believed that if he united all the elements once again, like how you would basically with the Source Dragons, you could stop the merge. And I think he became a state of panic when the merge actually began, because through his research that we know for a fact he was doing about the merge, he probably understood that more elements would emerge, more issues would emerge, and more likely occurrences that would get in the way of this plan of his would also happen, which is why he was in a state of shock. The problem only got bigger. What if Wu was essentially panicking when the merge was happening because he knew that his plan was officially out the window? He knew that there was more elements he'd have to track down. He knew there's elements that he would not be familiar with that he would have to track down. He knew that there was a lot more people. He knew there was a lot more risk. He knew the merge quicks was going to happen. He knew all these different aspects was going to begin. And what if that is what caused his panic? He felt truly lost, and he felt completely incapacitated because the problem became bigger than he truly knew. Remember, again, this is Wu, the person who likes to solve his problems on his own accord and keep the ninja purposely out of the dark. This is why the ninja knew so little about the merge and Wu's ultimate plan, and why they now also believe that Wu was the one who caused the merge. I believe that he simply just tried to solve this on his own, and he just failed, and he truly saw the consequences of his own actions like he has seen multiple times before. And then that leads back into my very first point. That is why I believe Wu believes he caused the merge, and why Raz believes he caused the merge. Raz simply thinks Wu failed at his ultimate mission, and Raz is just going to do it right in his own eyes. And Wu believes he caused the merge because he wasn't able to get his plan into play as quick as possible. And also what I also said, he simply just keeps his problems to himself. He believes that they're the protectors, and he also believes when it comes down to it, the event of Ninjago is what truly caused things to actually happen, and Ninjago itself was the catalyst. But I believe the issue is so much bigger than we actually realized, and I believe Wu truly didn't realize the scope of what was happening. But that is, in my opinion, why the merge occurred. I believe I have rounded up every single detail we know and have come up with a concise theory as to how it happened and how Raz intends on reversing the merge. I think even though it's what we've already seen before, the whole concept of balance and instability, I think it all fits in a little too perfectly. I think all the details line up exactly how they should, and taking all the information into account, it leads to quite a concise story. And I just believe above all else, Ninjago's biggest event being the merge can't simply have just been caused by the actions of one person. I believe the idea that it's specifically Wu that caused the merge is a bit weird, because the merge or the coalescence is by far one of the biggest things that's ever happened within Ninjago, and that is why I just don't believe it could have been Wu specifically that caused it. I just think it's something that has to be a multitude of things and a multi-realm event just to cause something like that at that magnitude. So that is why I just simply think it can't be Wu specifically that did it, and that is how I came to the conclusion that it had to be something else. But let me know what you think. Do you think that this is how the merge came to be? Or do you believe the theories that we have had before, such as Wu deliberately causing the merge, or some other aspect that has come into it? I know some people think the Overlord may have done it, but I don't know about that one. But I believe that my explanation might truly be the case. But let me know what your thoughts on it are, because if I have missed something here, I would love to know what you think. But that is about it for today, you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and like I said, let me know what you think of this theory, because I love this theory, and I have spent a very long time thinking of it, because I truly love the concept of the merge. I was actually going to wait until Season 3 Part 2 release for this video, but I truly have come to a point where I believe I've got everything I need to bring a compelling case on the true cause of the merge, and I hope you guys agree with me, because I truly do believe that I have got something here. But like I said, let me know what you think. And again, thank you very much for watching. Take care. Okay, bye!